Hello, and welcome back to my channel. It's been 2 weeks, and I am back with another video. I missed talking to you guys. Yeah, so if you're new and you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment and like this ish if you like my content. Anyways, let's go right into it. If you watched my previous video, it was about how I deal with being in an intercultural marriage or relationship. I ended with I would do a video on how unaddressed trauma can interfere with your relationship if it's left unaddressed for too long. So here I am. I dished a big meal and I struggled with trying to eat it. That's why it took me 2 weeks to record. I was just so nervous about what I have to talk about because I have to dig into my past and share it with you guys. Very intimate. I'm being vulnerable here, guys and ladies. And yeah, I just felt like there was a wall that was had to penetrate. But yeah, here I am. I mustered up the courage. I went back to the self-help books I use and just read it up. The best way to overcome a traumatic experience is to address it head on. Don't beat about the bush with it. So this is what I'm going to do, and hopefully help an individual out there that might be experiencing the same thing or might need help with dealing with something that's interfering with their relationship, their marriage, their friendship, their sisterhood, their brotherhood, whatever relationship you have out there. If something is holding you back, I'm just going to let you know how I cope with that. I know this is turning out to be a relationship channel. I promise it's not going to just be about that. We have a lot of topics, guys. So hang on. I promise I'll deliver. So yeah, before I go any further, I just want to put it out there. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or a licensed counselor. I'm just a person sharing my experiences and how I personally cope and deal with it and how I address it, approach it. So by all means, if you have something that's bothering you and you have the means to see somebody that's licensed and braced for it, please do so. And yeah, these are just my opinions. So let's go right into it. So yeah, like I said, relationships are very delicate living things, and you have to be fully aware of you and your environment and what you pour into it in order for it to function properly. Yeah, I'm not perfect. I have a lot of flaws. Therefore, I don't expect my relationship to be smooth because we all have scars, and every now and then you have an itch to scratch it because it hurts deep down those healed layers. There's still a fresh wound in there, and that's what tends to happen with relationship. If you don't tend to your wound properly, it doesn't heal properly, and every now and then it's going to hurt and it's going to affect your current situation. Oh, I feel so smart. Yeah, basically I've had a traumatic past. Trauma is different for everyone. What is traumatic for me might not be traumatic for you. Personally, for me, the highlights of my trauma are growing up an abandoned child. My father didn't join my... Yes, he was a part of it earlier, but then later he left, and then we reconnected, I believe, when I was 15 going on 16. But yeah, there is that 10-year gap where there's just a lot of, funk in there missing. For me, I feel like it was a very vital stage in my life between 4 and 15. I really needed a dad, and since mine wasn't around, I just felt very abandoned and not enough, not worthy of love, and I don't know. It's one thing to lose a parent to death, or in that sense, and then it's another thing to lose a parent because they leave and they leave you behind. It can be a very painful experience, and that's been what I've felt. a very big painful experience, and for a long time it bothered me a lot. I felt unworthy of love. I felt not enough. I felt very small. And the funny thing about that is, in feeling small, I feel I compensated with the eating to feel big. Yeah. Well, that's what the therapist says anyway. But yeah, so that's part of my trauma. And another traumatic experience of mine in my past has been being sexually assaulted at the age of 13. So those are the big two for me that have just kind of played a big role in all my relationships, and not a good taste. I mean, before I started reading self-help books on how to cope and all of that, I was a mess. And what happens with relationships is, if you go into a relationship as a mess, honey, the relationship will be a mess, whether you like it or not. You can fake it, you can cover it up, you can smudge it with all the foundation you want, but you're still a mess. And it's going to reflect in your relationship, in your marriage, in your friendship, in whatever entanglement it is that you're going through. That's what unaddressed trauma does. It has a tendency of showing up. So my trauma had little babies, and those babies were trust issues from having no dad. I didn't trust men. I still don't trust them. I'm working on that. I'm sorry, husband, I love you, but yeah, I'm working on it. But I had terrible trust issues with all my partners. I went into every relationship fully prepared for the end of it. You know, it's like you're starting something and you're already ready, bracing yourself for the end of it. Like, how is that supposed to be a healthy relationship? I went in questioning the intentions of all my lovers. Like, really, do they feel I'm enough? Are they going to stick around because I'm enough for them? Or are they going to take off and just leave me hanging? So I couldn't fully open up myself to experiencing the moment. I always needed to be a few steps ahead, or I had to have a backup plan. And backup plans in relationships are not good. That just simply means being unfaithful. It's a code name for being unfaithful, and it's a terrible thing. I'm not proud of it, but that's just how I dealt with it at the time. I'm past that. I'm sharing this with you because I'm on the road to recovery. So the feelings of unworthiness and questioning intents of my lovers, questioning my enoughness, the trust issues, were they being faithful? Were they genuinely going to stay in this relationship because they loved me? I just, that's what was in my head. And then with being sexually assaulted, how that changed me was I took on a hypersexual approach to dealing with it. I didn't tell a soul that I was sexually assaulted by very close family friend members until I was in my 20s. This happened when I was 13. I couldn't approach my mom. She was dealing with long-term depression on and off. I could not bear to add to whatever pain she was processing that was making her feel that way. I also didn't believe that she would believe me. I thought I was going to be blamed. I was going to be ridiculed. You know, it happens. I had seen it happen. And I just closed off all communication. I changed. I became unruly, and I was all over the place. I decided in that moment, either I was going to be celibate for the rest of whatever, or I was going to grab the bull by the horn and just go to town with it. That's what I did. Yeah, not proud. But by the grace of the gods out there, I'm telling you, my ancestors got my back. I'm so glad they got my back. Somehow, I did not ruin my life. I damaged my heart because I just couldn't trust relationships and men in general. I couldn't. I was in it to win, no matter what. I was going to be the one to hurt, not be hurt. And I guess that reflected in my relationships because they never lasted. If they did, they were just padded with lies and more lies. Yeah. And in trying to address my issue of abandonment, my choice of medicine was to go after older men in search of, fatherly love. I mean, how can you possibly find fatherly love in a partner? It doesn't work. You're going to either love your partner because of who they are. You're not going to try to get a father out of them. Needless to say, that's what I was doing, and coupled with the trust issues and the not believing anything was genuine, they didn't work. And my relationship prior to this one, it got me thinking, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. It has to stop at some point. And I don't know. I think internally I was manifesting for somebody to come and perhaps help me build a genuine relationship. Because the time that I met my husband, I have no words on how it happened or why it happened, but it was a perfect moment. I was ready for change, and he just fell into my lap. And because I was ready for change and be genuine with myself and actually figure out what pain I was going through and stop projecting it onto the people that were in my life, I think that's why it worked, That's the thing with trauma. You have to deal with it head on. You either have to talk about it, write about it, read ways on how to handle it. If you have the means, get a therapist. They will hold your hand as delicate as possible and help you address your inner, deepest, darkest fears. And I have been afraid my whole life of being left or just being alone, And I've projected it on everything and anything I touch. I've tried to please people so that they could stay in my life. Not doing what I wanted, what others wanted all the time. My inability to say no to things just because I was scared that I will lose a person, I will lose a connection. That's not a healthy relationship. Those were not healthy relationships. Even friendships, And I did this even with friends, not just lovers. Like, I don't understand. It's now that I don't understand. Like, how could I be so cruel to myself, And the thing is, because I was unwilling to forgive and let go of what happened to me. I mean, I used to say, I'm over it. It's not a big deal. I'm over it. But deep down in my heart, I was always still hurt and broken. And I just painted all my shit on other people, all my pain on other people. The anger, the lashing out, the lying, the cover-ups, the pleasing, the condescendingness, the manipulation. It's terrible. I mean, for so long, I became an expert on masking, like, projecting this perfect being, like I got my shit together, But I was so broken that I made others like need me, You have to need me, because if you need me, then you won't let go. I was needy, yo. Like, I realize now, And in this journey of me rediscovering myself and healing, I'm starting to see that I was so cruel to myself in not forgiving and letting go. The funny thing about forgiveness is, just when you think you've forgiven somebody, that muscle clenches up again and all those feelings come bubbling up again. And then if you're not careful, if you have not addressed those feelings, you start over again. You shit on your bed. Like, you've made that bed comfortable, and then suddenly you just crap all over it. Pardon my language. I'm just so passionate about what I'm saying right now. So be careful in how you approach forgiveness, and also allow yourself to feel. Sometimes it's okay to feel like, the remorse and the anger about what happened to you, but then immediately you have to release it and just let it go, so that you are you again. You're not pumped with all those horrible things that that used to be you. And that helps you in connecting with the other person, in allowing them into your life. Because I always had walls built up, ready to defend myself, ready to be ahead of everything. It's not helpful to the other, but you're not actually even giving them a chance, a genuine chance for them to love you, just you, the true you. So yeah, those are my tips. Like, talk about it. Also listen, when people are giving you advice, or they're trying to help you, listen to them, and what they're saying might be helpful. Like, for me, Elkhart Tolle and his books and podcasts have just been godsend to me. It's helping me evolve. And then I've tried meditation. My stepmom is a meditation guru, and she keeps recommending it to me. And yeah, I'm not listening to what she's saying. Maybe I should listen and try it out. It's another great tool to work on your trauma and release it, so that your relationships can be as beautiful as they deserve to be. Because by the end of the day, each and every one of us deserves to be loved right, and in turn, we need to do the same. But if you're battling other things within you, there's no space for love. There's no space for trust. There's no space for commitment or understanding or growth, especially growth, because you're not being the authentic self that you are. You are dealing with your nightmares, the worst nightmares that have ever happened to you. And yeah, so if you're dealing with something, anything like I have had dealt with in the past, just know, be delicate with yourself. You can start the journey to mend yourself. And I was lucky to have a partner that sees past all the pain and the anger and the jealousy, the envy, the remorse that I used to have. And he lets me heal in his own way. Not everybody has that, but I'm lucky I do. And I need to protect that by ensuring that I continue to watch myself in continuously forgiving and continuously growing myself in terms of knowledge, coping mechanisms, how I react, how I do things. Because truly, if you don't let go of the past, it will never be that. It will always be the present. Then you're blocking yourself from having a beautiful future, because you'll always be in pain at all times. And pain has no place for love. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. I apologize for such a long video, but it had to be. I have to be honest. And in my honesty, it takes time. We got to take time to come to the full stop. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. If you have questions, I would love to answer them. If you haven't already subscribed, click that ish up and that ish up top, and let's talk some more. I love you guys, and I'm not going to say what my next video is, but I promise it's not just going to be about relationships. Next one might be about my starting, you know, a healthy lifestyle. I'm tired of losing weight. I gotta be healthy now for good. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Sunday. I love this hair. I'm not taking it off anytime soon. And yeah, it's a yellow day. It's bright and sunny. And yeah, be kind to yourself and others. Until next time, love you. Bye.